Welcome, welcome, welcome to this special edition of Facing the Nation for October 26, 2024. You know how it is. Call up a neighbor, call up a friend, tell them Facing the Nation is on. You can get us on all our social media platforms, the People's National Congress Reform page on Facebook, our YouTube page, the APNU AFC page. Today is not a day you want to miss this conversation with my guest. So I'm saying to you, hurry up, call up a friend, tell them Facing the Nation is on. And today we are going to be having a really, really great discussion. We usually run out of time very quickly on this program, so I do not want to delay any further. But let me introduce my guest for today. He is no stranger to social media. He is no stranger to the public. He's always been in the forefront, whether it was in his professional life and even now, keeping things on stream. My guest today is the retired Assistant Police Commissioner. He's the former chairman of the Police Service Commission, and he holds quite a few other hats, but he is none other than Mr. Paul Slowe. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Shaneika. It's good to be here. Good morning to you. Good morning to your viewers. Good morning, all.
Good morning. I am ecstatic to have you here today because I know there is a lot to be talked about and a lot that we need to get into. But my viewers know that once I have a guest for the first time, I usually allow my guests, my viewers to have a better sense of that person. We see persons like you all the time, on TV, and now you're doing your show, Speaking Out, and we don't know too much about you. We want to get a little bit of the softer side of you before we go into the issues today. So I want to start out by asking, where in Guyana did you grow up?
Oh, thanks. I grew up at Bedford in BV, or Baron as they call it. That is on the East Coast. For those of you who don't know, it's about 9 miles on the east coast of Demerara, sandwiched between Triumph on the east and LBI on the west. So that's my village, Bedford we known as Baron. So we are known as Baronians. And Baronian. So that is where I grew up.
Lovely. Everybody knows that the only village I usually claim is Pleasant, but truth be told, when I was born, my parents were living in BV for a short period of time. So I was born there. So I'll take a little claim to you today, especially as we go forward.
You're free to do so. You're free to do so.
So there are quite a few persons, in that village who would know my family as well during that time. Another question. We see that you've had an extensive given an extensive period of service to the Guyana Police Force. But the question I want to ask, how did you get there? What drove you to become a serviceman?
Well, let me tell you, it's not one of those stories that is popular, where people say from a very early age they had this yearning, this desire to be law enforcement. Nothing like that with me. At a very tender age, that was a teenager, I joined the Guyana Youth Corps, GYC, at the age of 14. And because before that, I got a desire to be in the military. I joined the Corps in 1969. That is the time when the issue with Venezuela was on the forefront. And I wanted to be in a position where I can defend my country. So I went to join the Youth Corps. After the Youth Corps, as many of us would do, I applied for every place, police, fire, GDF, and all of those places I made applications to join. And the police came first. So they accepted, I went for the interview, took the medicals and so on, and they came first. So that is how I became a member of the police force in 1974. And as I said, it grows on you. Because once I got into the force, I recognized that, look, this is a career that I should pursue. And I did just that. My youth corps background in drill and arms served me well. And I became a drill instructor, a firearm instructor, and I ended up spending 37 years in the police force before I retired in 2010 at the rank of assistant commissioner.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's still a great story, I must say. All right, so there is so much happening countrywide, but there is much more happening in the field of what's happening at the Guyana Police Force. And of course, the hottest issue being talked about is that of the, I don't know what we'll call it. I'll call it shenanigans for now, with the assistant commissioner, Mr. Brutus, who we're seeing all of these things playing out. You know, last night, breaking news, we saw one place trying to say he was being asked to leave Evaleri. Then, shortly after that clip appeared on social media, we saw a letter, note to all the persons that he would have taken to court on the in the constitutional case, as he had called it, was withdrawn last night. That is basically where I think we're at, unless I missed anything this morning. But this matter is unfolding. We had those allegations being put. We had trades of threats, I will call it, from the VP, and what I will call affirmations from him. And we saw the court 30 charges, $6.2 million in bail. And now we're here and we're seeing him pulling back that case. What is your thought about the, how this case, one, has been brought forward, with everything else happening, even with that request for the commissioner to be appointed, and then the series of things that we're seeing now?
Well, we have a lot to unpack there, and let me start by saying Brutus appeared in court 2 days ago, put on $6.2 million bail. Mr. Brutus, like everyone else, has a presumption of innocence. So it's a constitutionally guaranteed presumption where, even though he's charged and 30 charges were read to him, we have to understand that he's presumed innocent until proven guilty by a competent court of law. So I don't think we should, and I would not comment on the details of the charges that were read to him on Thursday. What I will do, however, is give an overall picture of what has taken place, and I'm sure that our viewers will come to the understanding exactly where we are. Now, let me say this. This whole thing started some time ago, a long time ago. Let me go way back to 2020. Let me go back to, I'm going to start from 2020. We all know the president, Irfanali, was sworn in on the 2nd of August, 2020. And then what happened then? Shortly thereafter, very, very shortly thereafter, lots of changes were made at the senior command level of the Guyana Police Force. Calvin Brutus, who was a senior superintendent stationed in Berbice, in Region 6 there, New Amsterdam headquarters, was brought to police headquarters to fill the admin position on the 16th of August 2020. That is 2 weeks after the government change. And let me say this to our viewers who may not be familiar with the system. That position, assistant admin, whether it's deputy or assistant commissioner, is always held by either an assistant commissioner or a deputy commissioner of police. Never before did we have a senior superintendent holding that position. And at the time, they were assistant commissioners qualified to hold the position. But the government wanted him there, and he was brought into that position. Other senior officers as well were put into position that they did not have the sufficiently senior rank to occupy. And therefore, an attempt was then made. At that time, I should add, I was the chairman of the Police Service Commission. Now, according to the Constitution of Guyana, the Police Service Commission as a responsibility. One of its responsibilities is to promote ranks in the Guyana Police Force from inspector all the way up to assistant commissioner. They also have a role of dealing with deputy commissioners and commissioner. But let me deal with that part, the first part, from inspector to assistant commissioner. The government sent out a signal, clear signal to the commission that they wanted Brutus and others promoted. I had a meeting with the president on the 16th of September 2020. That was indicated to me. That was indicated. Now, I told them, because the question came up as to why some people were in various ranks for a long period of time. They were not being promoted. The impression was created that they were being victimized. And I made it clear that we have criteria dealing with promotion, including the fact that if a person has a pending disciplinary matter, they cannot be considered for promotion until that matter has been concluded. Some of the persons whose names were called and who they indicated they wanted promoted had pending disciplinary matters, including Brutus. So I made that clear. Now, the Police Service Commission then met on the 23rd of December 2020 and created a short list of persons to be further considered, because traditionally, in recent times, the Police Service Commission will make promotions, release the promotions, what they call Olia's Night, on the 31st of December. So we started to work towards that process. The 23rd of December, we met for the first time, we created a short list. The very night of the 23rd of December, I had a conversation with the president, and he asked specifically about Brutus and others. And I advised him that based on the previous discussion, I told him about disciplinary matters. I said those matters are still pending. In Brutus' case, one matter is still pending, and therefore he cannot be considered this time. Well, the president flew into rage and accused me and the commission of deliberately delaying these proceedings to prevent this promotion. I told him it was not so. It was not so. And that conversation ended there, the 23rd of December, the evening of the 23rd of December, 2020. The very next day, and y'all bear with me, listeners, so I can walk you through, so you could understand all this.
Yes, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
The very next day, 24th of December, that is Christmas Eve Day 2020, Robeson, then the Minister of Home Affairs, sent an email or something like that to the person who was performing the duties of Commissioner, Nigel Appy, indicating that he wanted several persons charged criminally, not investigated. He wanted them charged criminally with several offenses. Many of the persons listed were persons shortlisted for promotion. And we realized that all of these offenses that were being alleged were associated with election, the period immediately after election. For example, Senior Superintendent Azor, who was shortlisted for promotion, was accused of assaulting a diplomat at the Asmin building. Nothing like that. No report was such report was made. Senior Superintendent Cooper, the late Cooper, was accused of dereliction of duty in that during the demonstration following the Henry Boys on the West Coast of Berbice, they claimed that he did not take sufficient action to disperse the crowd. And many others interference with data, and all kinds of things came out. And guess who? 24th of December, the person who wrote to those officers following the correspondence from Roseman was none other than Brutus. Brutus writing, as the Chief Justice said, he was writing to his rivals to tell them that they are being investigated. Now, we continued with the process. On and around the 30th of December, as we were finalizing that promotion list to be released on the 31st, Brutus moved, we got information, an order from the Chief Justice that Brutus had filed a fixed date application. In other words, he moved to stop promotions. He moved to the court to stop all the promotion, claiming lots of things, that he was unfairly denied promotion. He was joined by several others, Siobhan Jupiter, Ravindra Stanley, Sipasad Bacchus, Prem Narayan. They all joined and challenged the promotion. So the Chief Justice ordered that the status quo in the force should remain, meaning that no one should get promotion until that challenge by Brutus was ordered determined. Now, the Chief Justice then, the matter dragged through the court, and the Attorney General intervened, on the first appearance in court, he told the Chief Justice that this thing looked bad and he wanted to meet with the parties to resolve the matter. We met. I met with them. The members who were in Guyana met with the Attorney General. I was
Mm-hmm.
traveling with the West Indies cricket team. I was the security manager at the time. I joined the meeting virtually. They wanted they wanted the matter discontinued, but they were basically trying to blackmail the Police Service Commission
Mm-hmm.
to promote these people and they're going to drop the matter. He said, I'm not going to put up with that. And all of us on the commission said that is blackmail. So the matter dragged to the court. The Chief Justice was set to deliver our ruling on the 18th of June, 2021. Now, on the 16th of June, 2021, we all members of the Police Service Commission received letters that we were suspended. But let me back up a little. Let me back up. In an effort now, after this lawsuit or civil action filed by Brutus, Mr. Conway, who was another member, myself, and some other retired police officers during 2019, I think it was, we were asked by the then Commissioner Leslie James to assist in revising the police standing orders. And we agreed that we were going to assist. We're going to work 2 days a week, and we were going to assist. Nothing about money was discussed, nothing. Then, shortly thereafter, we were advised that the admin team, what they call the executive leadership team of the police force, decided that they were going to pay us a stipend for the days that we work. And we all agreed and accepted the stipend. Now, when they wanted to get us off the commission, the Prime Minister wrote to us, Conway and myself, who are members of the commission and member of that standing order review team, direct saying that we should show cause why he should not. No, well, I jumped a bit. Now, what happened then? Following that, they arrested Conway, Mr. Conway, member of the commission, and other members on the 19th of May 2021. I was abroad at the time. And they filed charges of conspiracy to commit fraud against myself, Mr. Conway, some other retired officers, some serving officers. Conspiracy to commit fraud, and some of the officers' misconduct in public office. Now, the very day, and I want our listeners to understand this, the very day that the charge was filed, that's the 19th of May, 2021, the very evening, the Prime Minister wrote to me and Conway for us to show cause why he should not advise the President to have us removed from the Police Service Commission having regards to the charge.
Wow.
That was the 19th of May. Shortly thereafter, about a week or so thereafter, the Prime Minister again then wrote this time to every member of the Police Service Commission, myself, Mr. Conway, Mr. Michael Summersall, Ms. Vesta Adams, Ms. Clay Jarvis. Same thing for us to show cause why he should not advise the President to have us removed from the Police Service Commission. And this time he stated, because we are joined with Member of Parliament Ganesh Maipal in action to challenge the constitutionality of the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act, which we did. And therefore, they tried to get us off the commission. And as I've said, the Chief Justice set the rule on the 18th of June, sorry. On the 16th of June, 2 days before, the President wrote to us and suspend all members of the Police Service Commission. I am of the view, and the evidence will back me up there, is both circumstantial and direct evidence, that the reason why they did that is because they knew that the ruling of the Chief Justice would have gone against Brutus, and then promotions would have been made, he would have been excluded, and they did not want the Police Service Commission to be in place when the ruling was made. The Chief Justice did not make the ruling on the 18th of June. She made it on the 28th of June, 2021. She threw out the application from Brutus, and in her ruling, she made it clear that she found Brutus to be self-serving. That is part of the court procedure. She found him to be self-serving. Now, once it was thrown out, we went ahead and we released the promotion that was pending since the 31st of December 2020. Right? All right. So we released that promotion on the 28th, the very day the Chief Justice threw out the challenge. The next day, the 29th of June 2021, the Attorney General, Anil Nandlal, went on issue. He has a program that he calls, I think, Issued in the News on NCN.
Yes.
And he said, among other things, that the government will not recognize the promotion. and they have not recognized the promotion on today like today. Now,
Mm-hmm.
after the Service Commission was suspended, we challenged the suspension. So we knew it was unlawful. We knew it was unlawful, so we challenged the suspension. Now, a lot of shenanigans. Once we challenged the suspension, when the matter came up in court, well, I think a mistake was made, I must admit, because in naming the respondents, the president was named as a respondent. President Irfan Ali was named as a respondent. The Attorney General challenged that. He said that you can't name the president as a respondent because he enjoys immunity under the Constitution. So they
Mm-hmm.
had that one argument, and the judge, Justice Gino Prasad, ruled that that is correct, that you can't name the president, and then ordered us to remove the president from the application. No sooner than the judge did that, the Attorney General then said that he had filed an application to have the entire matter struck out on the grounds that the police office committee, the life of the commission, had ended on the 8th of August 2021. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we were sworn in as members of the commission on 9th of August 2018. According to the Constitution, the life of the commission is for 3 years. So the
Mm-hmm.
life of the commission I chaired ended automatically on the 8th of August 2021. Of course, it can be extended and all of that.
Correct.
Move that. So again, arguments about that. At the end of the day, the judge ruled that even though the life of the commission had ended, he said that this matter of the question of the suspension of the commission by the president is of sufficient public interest for the matter to be heard and determined on its merit. And he ordered that he is going to substitute Paul Slowe in the place and stead of the Police Service Commission. So he was no longer the Police Service Commission versus the Attorney General, the Prime
It
Minister,
was
and all these
Paul
people.
Slowe.
It was Paul Slowe. All right, so that started. That when he challenged that, the Attorney General then challenged that to the full court. The full court deliberated and upheld the ruling of Justice Gino Prasad. But they said, they varied it. They said there was no need to substitute Slowe in the place instead of the Police Service Commission. Slowe can be added as an applicant in his own right, and they did that. The Attorney General then sought leave from the full court to appeal the matter to the appeal court, and that leave was denied. They then had to argue the matter on its merit. And of course, the judge ruled that the suspension was unlawful, unconstitutional, ultra-virus, null, void, and of no legal effect. That is what Justice Gino Prasad ruled. And I gave them the background for people to understand this Brutus issue. So,
Correct.
right. So we got to the stage where, despite the ruling of the Chief Justice that she found Brutus to be self-serving, right? They kept him in the administration position as they say acting deputy commissioner. There's no acting deputy commissioner. Let me understand this clear. He was sitting there in the office of deputy commissioner, performing the functions of, wasn't acting, because for you to act, the Constitution Article 211 sets out the process. And unless that process is followed, then the person cannot be said to be acting. They're just performing the functions of the office. All right.
Mm-hmm.
She said that she found him to be self-serving. They kept him there. They promoted him, even though he had the disciplinary matter, and even though the ruling of the Chief Justice, they promoted him to assistant commissioner, and he was there. Now, let me tell you something about the admin. In the admin position, it is the admin controls basically the purse string of the police force. So the finance office, the quartermaster store, as you would have seen, the police credit union, the construction section, all of those things come under the admin man. So no money can be spent and no procurement can be done without the involvement of the man in charge of admin. And as you have seen now with the allegations that are floating around, it would appear, based on the allegations, mind you, that it is being alleged that he used that position, right, to enrich himself and his family. That is what is being alleged, because it is there, he admitted it, that he then established a company in 2023 last year. His wife established 2 companies as well. And based on what was read out in court on Thursday, they then use they are funneling money to the very companies that they have. That is the gist of the thing. So again, I say, the court found this officer to be self-serving. I don't know if they don't mean what self-serving means, but then they went ahead and they kept him in that position. They even promoted him. And let me tell you this.
Correct.
They promoted him to the rank of assistant commissioner. Therefore, he felt that he had carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to do. And he did, based on what is being revealed. You're talking about $800 million. He even admitted in documents that we have seen that because of the office and all the perks associated with the office, he never spent a cent of his salary over a period of time. He admitted that. He said, well, not admitted, he revealed that in court documents. He never had to spend a cent. So fast forward all that happened. Sometime all this year, I got word, and it was circulated that Calvin Brutus deposited $16.5 million in the police credit union, the Guyana Police Force Credit Union. Now, it would appear that based on the information, when the deposit was made, a rank who is in charge. And this credit union, police credit union, it has police ranks working there. There's a
Correct.
board management. So, all right. So the people who are there accepted the $16.5 million. When the person, the office in charge, came to office and saw this arrangement, she recognized the illegality. Yet you're going to raise questions. $16.5 million, one officer depositing at one time. The note for the deposit say that $15 million should go into his saving account at the credit union, and $1.5 million should go to some interest and some loan, which he never had. A loan which he never had. So we kept talking about it. And we
Yeah.
saw the acting commissioner Clifton Aiken at Marriott, when he was questioned by Dennis Shrabal from the Wave, denied. He said no money was lodged and no investigation was going on. Well, in Brutus Code document, he said that at that time, Aiken knew that the investigation was in fact going on. So he lied. So all right. So we kept talking about it. Then we learned that Brutus got married on the 11th of November 2023. And he then, according to him, this is not what I am making up or speculating. He said that he received lots of monetary gifts. And he was so busy during December. He got married in November, remember? He was busy during December. He couldn't deposit this money then. Then he finally got some time in January. He checked this money. He said he checked $46.4 million. And then he deposited at the bank. He told the bank as a means of explanation that the money was acquired from gifts before, during, and after the wedding. It would appear that deposit triggered a suspicious transaction report, and the Financial Intelligence Unit request of SOCU for them to do an investigation into this. SOCU did, according to what they're saying, SOCU did the investigation, and SOCU, Brutus then gave them names of people who
Give them
this money.
money.
And therefore, it would appear that on the basis of those statements and a statement from the acting commissioner, who said that he collected $8.5 million from a businessman, he counted it, and he paid this money into Pegasus for this wedding. They said that on the basis of that statement from the acting commissioner and other statements, that investigation into the $46.4 million was discontinued. The file was sent to the DPP, and the DPP said no charge against Brutus. Now they stayed quiet. They didn't say anything. Starbrook News, about 2 weeks ago, published this article and say the EPP advised that this matter should be discontinued. Right? And of course, statements started to be made. SOCU then came out to say that they were doing another investigation. It was then revealed that that the Financial Intelligence Unit provided SOCU with additional information. So that investigation was expanded now, and they were investigating. They didn't tell anyone anything about that initially. People were led to believe that the investigation was ended. Now what happened then? Suddenly, and unexpectedly, We learned, that the public learned, that there was a change at the top of the force. Brutus from admin was being posted to head special branch.
Branch,
The man at
correct.
special branch, Errol Watts, was posted to be at operations. And the man at operations, Budram, was put to at the admin position. The
Admin
police came
position.
out to say it was a move to a part of the strategic plan to put to get experience. And I said, not at all, could not be. You can't get them senior people moving to get experience.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't fly. It doesn't make sense. Then
Mm-hmm.
they came out. Then we learned. Police release again to say that. And I have the release. Let me tell you what they say. The police statement says, consequent to allegations of financial impropriety leveled against Deputy Commissioner Acting Calvin Brutus on social media and established media houses, Calvin Brutus has since requested permission to proceed on annualized vacation leave with immediate effect to facilitate an investigation in the best interest of the Guyana Police Force. Permission was granted by the Commissioner of Police through the prescribed procedure. Now, we went into that, not a prescribed procedure. Commissioner of Police
Correct.
don't grant senior officer, but just the propaganda thing. All right, so Brutus proceeded on leave to facilitate this investigation. Then we learned that Brutus now, well, first of all, I understand that he attempted to leave the country sometime and he was
Yeah,
prevented from doing so.
from leaving. Mm-hmm.
Right. So what he did now, he moved to the High Court to get an order, or for the High Court to give the police an order for him to travel. Right? So cool. The commissioner, because acting commissioner, because the commissioner of police in Guyana is the chief immigration officer. So, and they thought he went there. 2 Fridays ago, Justice Dino Prasad, well, the government challenged it. They challenged the application. In other words, they were saying that he should not be allowed to leave. And in
Mm-hmm.
doing so, in doing that challenge, it was then revealed for the first time that he has 240
Plus charge.
charges were pending against him.
Mm-hmm.
240. And of course, the judge said, don't leave. The judge said he can't leave. Right? He can't leave. Then shortly, well, even before that, even before Friday, when this order was made, the country learned that Calvin Brutus, Assistant Commissioner of Police, filed a constitutional motion. He named everybody. He named the Attorney
Yes,
General.
correct.
He said all sort of things. He named the Home Affairs Minister. He named the Acting Commissioner. He named Soku. He named the Police Complaints, the Police Service Commission. All of them were named, right? And then he made some very startling revelation. He talks about cabinet intervening for and ordering Akin to send him on leave, and he made all type of revelation. And that is public document. There's no secret where he
Mm-hmm.
alleged that Soku was manipulating evidence and manufacturing evidence in order to implicate him and all of that. So then, of course, some of us would have seen the press conference by the vice president where he made the point that they're going to challenge. And he said, and this is one of the statements that he made that I believe. He tells so many lies that he said that Brutus, they don't need to believe that the PPP gonna, what's the effect? I'm paraphrasing. If he believes that the PPP will protect
Condone.
right, he don't know the PPP. They don't know the
Biggest lie ever.
yeah, they don't know the PPP, and based a lot of things have unraveled. He didn't know the PPP, so he filed a motion. The judge denied him permission to leave the country, and then we learned a lot of things happened on Wednesday. Where they were looking
It
for
was a
him,
hot day.
hot day. They were looking for him. I don't know for what reason, because a lot of strange thing happened. And I said then, and I will continue to say that Soku is not competent to do a proper investigation in this matter. Because here it is, and let me explain. Here you have a situation where they say they were doing an investigation since early in the year. Early in the year, they said so. This triggered first by the deposit of $46.4 million, and then the information from the Financial Intelligence Unit, which caused the investigation to be expanded. When Brutus now got to court to get permission to leave, that denied. He filed a constitutional motion against the government and that. And then we learned that Wednesday they are going to execute a search warrant Now, why? As I said, I spent 37 years in the Ghana police force. One would have thought that if you have to execute a search warrant during the course of an investigation, that would have done very early in the investigation. But they waited
Correct.
now until the last moment when he done moved to the court to file this constitutional motion. And when they knew, they must have known that DPP had already advised that he be charged and that they were taking him to court on Thursday. And Wednesday
They
night,
still.
they are
Mhm.
going to do a search warrant and all of that. So that is where it went. And then what happened? He went to court on Thursday. The man went to court in uniform. And I'm saying to people, because some people say, well, he's still a member of the force. Yes, he's still a member
But
of the
he's
force.
on administrative leave,
But
isn't
exactly,
he?
administratively, and more than that, his posting at this time is head of special branch. For those of you who don't know, special branch is a civilian clothes then. Let me put it, is a civilian clothes
Correct.
unit. You do
Mhm.
not wear uniform there. But I said yesterday on my program, the special program I had, that wearing of uniform was a show of defiance and a further
Mhm.
attempt to embarrass the government, the people of Guyana, and the police force. And
Mhm.
of course, he knew that once he turned up in uniform, then they're not going to handcuff him. And then when he goes into the court in uniform, then the magistrate might take that into consideration in determining whether he should be remanded or not.
Or
He did that.
not.
That is my view. That is why he wore uniform. That should have never been allowed. Because if you look at the clips, for those of you who are, when he attended court in relation to the permission,
Constitutional case and the
no, the one
permission.
with the application
Oh,
to leave the country,
leave the country. Yes.
he's there in his suit and tie,
Normal.
along now,
Mm.
now suit and tie with his lawyer, right? But he deliberately decided to do that on Thursday to further embarrass them. He did that
I
to further embarrass them.
I call this whole part of it the game of the bluff
Yeah.
because he throwing a bluff, they're throwing a bluff, everybody bluffing around, and now we have to see. I want to ask a few questions just before we get to that point. Now, you kept talking about Suku and this investigation that they are engaged in, but Calvin Brutus in one of those documents also stated that the current head of Suku would have given him 20% of some money he had to get to purchase a property. Now, with that being revealed, all of this still happening, this was revealed before a lot of the stuff happened in the last 2 days. You still had that individual in charge of this case. And then we saw, I don't know who authorized SWAT. As you were saying, it's ridiculous for you to now be trying to execute a search warrant when this case has gone so far. You've already told the court and the Guyanese people that you have 200 plus charges for this man. You've never searched his house. When you have the go ahead to arrest him, instead you're going for a search warrant. Doesn't this compromise the investigation? I mean, we know that everybody surrounding the government, everybody corrupt. We know this. We know what is happening. But just for the optics, won't you remove this gentleman from this investigation, or shouldn't he take the initiative to remove himself?
Now let me say this: I'm not sure that I have not seen. I can't recall seeing any document where Brutus is saying that the head of Soku contributed any. I think a media. I think it will be in Big Smith News Watch or some said that.
What?
And,
Yes.
and yesterday it
And he
came out.
did not deny it the evening when the question was asked.
Exactly. That was not
Right?
the right. Right. So I
Right.
don't think we can say that. And I saw yesterday that is the subject of a claim, a lawsuit filed against Leroy Smith to the tune of $600 million because they said
Yes, he's now saying that that's not
that
true.
is not true. So we have to give him that benefit. So I'm not going to say that is true. But what I can comment on is the fact that I have said all along, that Soku is not equipped they're not competent to conduct this investigation, because from what I know, this investigation must have far-reaching tentacles. And the Attorney General actually admitted that in court, because Brutus, in one of the court documents, said that when he appeared in court, the Attorney General said, that is what Brutus said, I'm repeating what he said, in the court document, that the Attorney General threatened to have Soku, he's going to cause Soku to expand the investigation, to investigate all those persons who are said to have given Brutus monetary contribution towards his wedding. You made the point. Why would you need to expand an investigation if a proper investigation is being done? If the proper investigation is being done, and Brutus is trying to say, oh, we got that $46.4 million, and he calls names of persons who he said gave him the money, as part of the investigation, you got to go and contact those people to find out if it is so. You don't have to expand an investigation to include that. So I said that as well points to one, political interference, and two, to the fact that this was not a proper professional investigation. And I maintain that because, again, let's come back to the $46.4 million that he deposited at the bank. The acting commissioner wrote a statement full of holes, more holes than switch trees or that wire mesh. And that is not investigated. If you are doing a proper investigation, you got to investigate all the things. The commissioner said, for example, he has a policy where to support people during weddings and birthdays and anniversaries. Where is this policy?
Correct.
Where is the policy? Right? Is it a policy, a figment of his imagination? Any proper investigator would have called to see that policy. Then who are the other persons who would have benefited from this type of arrangement? Right? How many? Those are basic things that you would have done with an investigation. It would appear that they did not do that. And for that and other reasons, I said that this investigation is not properly done. $800 million in property and $500 million in cash, and another 300 in property and all the thing around the place. You want to tell me that the banks where these monies are deposited and observe that something is wrong here? A child 4 years old, 2 bank accounts with over $14 million inside. Nobody else sees something wrong? The finance ministry, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the PS Ministry of Home Affairs is the accounting officer for the Guyana Police Force. Oh, they see that something is wrong here? They don't see?
But Mr. Slowe, you have to remember, I will say that, they're probably very accustomed to seeing these things. We had a former PS who had $1 billion as a PS. And it was alleged same way. He never used to touch his salary. And he told us it was a phone card business. So I guess he was doing better than GT&T. And I want people to remember, we didn't have oil money yet.
Yes.
So there was no circulation of this big oil money going around and contracts going around. But this man had $1 billion Guyana dollars.
But let me correct you, because I did the research on that recently. $1 billion in one bank, but then they claim, based on the documents that I saw, it was, I think, $8 billion in assets, something all $8 billion.
Wow.
In his reputed wife name. It is there. I googled it and I see all the dates and all of that.
So it's way more. And we didn't have
the $1 billion, it is alleged, was in one bank account, and the bank apparently stopped taking any deposits from him. And that triggered, I think he was charged and he was placed before the court. I'm not sure what is the outcome of that.
I don't think that case was ever completed or thrown out or anything.
Right? I don't know, but I'm going to continue to do the research and to advise the public as to what has happened to that matter. So, again, I am saying that, for example, these vouchers and all of these things, in order for Brutus to get any money from the police, whether legal or illegal, it has to pass through the finance office. So there must be a paper trail. Have they investigated that paper trail properly? People must have been making out vouchers. People at the Ministry of Home Affairs must be aware of this type of thing. People must be aware. When you see the allegations about the procurement, problems in the procurement system, I made a comment even before the charges that how can the man in charge of admin be doing business. In other words, he is, and this is what I thought, you are in charge of admin. So basically, you are applying to yourself to supply things to the police force, and then you are approving the same thing to yourself, and then they are preparing. It's a whole
But
incestuous
you,
arrangement.
in his live on Wednesday evening, he stated to the public that he has never, he started out by stuttering on the point, but then he made the point that he has never done business with the police force. But I have a question here. Now, he stated as well in that live that he would have gone through what he calls the requisite procedure
Yeah.
to apply and was given permission by the acting commissioner to have this business. The question I want to know, because I know with public service rules, we know of other kinds of things. And I'm asking you, being the person you are in the positions that you held, is that legal? And or if even if there is a scope, as you're pointing out, this man is the head of admin, which handles anything to do with business with the police force. Is it ethical to do that?
Well, it might be very unethical. Well, I think I saw the clip from him. He's quoting Section 31, I think it was,
Yes, of
of
the
the police
Constitution.
the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1601, which says that
Okay.
the serving rank cannot be engaged in business unless approved by the Commissioner of Police. I think that is what it says. So
Okay.
he's saying that he applied to the acting commissioner for permission to establish business. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Was
But
granted.
then when in your position, there must be a conflict of interest arrangement there. That is the old law. The Police Act 1601 established against since in the colonial time. They could never envisage, that act could have never anticipated or envisaged a senior man at that level who is then in that position actually approving business for himself and his wife company. So even though he tried to dance and say he has never done business with that, his wife is supplying stuff to the police consumers and all that. And what
Yes.
makes it even more egregious is that it has been alleged that all the small people who used to supply things to the police mess and to the police consumers, that you're selling a couple, you're mining fowl and you're selling little eggs to them, you get little provision, you're trying to sell to the mess, you get you sell chicken and meat and so on. All of those things were stopped. All of those things were stopped, and it is alleged that he and his business associates with his wife and all start to do that.
Do
They
that
supplying
business.
all these things. So all the small man was cut out. All the small men, sorry, were cut out. And the thing became a monopoly, where they monopolized the whole supply. It is, even if you want to argue, but the thing that I'm saying, it is not illegal. It is totally unethical. And I'm sure it breaches procurement regulations and all of that. Well, and again, I say some of these matters are now engaging the attention of the court. I have some of the facts here. I'm not going to go into it because, again, he's presumed innocent until he is proven guilty. But I'm saying that this investigation by SOKU, first of all, I'm saying that they're not competent to do the type of investigation that is required. This calls for a lot of forensic investigation and all of that. When you have a commissioner of police acting who can write to say that I received $8.5 million from a businessman. He said he reached out to several businessmen and he called them stakeholders. But in the statement, he says one businessman gave him $8.5 million in an envelope. And I said on my program repeatedly, there got to be a real big envelope to hold 8. Because assuming that it's $5,000 bill, Guyana's highest denomination, $16.5 million is a lot of 5,000 bill note.
A lot.
A lot of 5,000 bill note. And then, you know, the vice president at his press conference 2 Thursdays ago said that that act, the government never sponsor, never approve of people taking government officials or police large gifts to go.
Taking big money.
Reprehensible.
If
You repeated the word. It is reprehensible. Use the word twice. And I asked the question, And I'm asking again, if this action by the acting commissioner is reprehensible, what are you going to do about it?
About it, exactly.
What are you going
Exactly.
to do about it?
Now, in your you outlining the issues that follow, one thing that stood out in this conversation is that at no time, even in the things that you outlined that happened long before this big issue now with Brutus, is that the Minister of Home Affairs is saying nothing.
Catty tongue, man. What people say, catty tongue.
I mean, you would think that when you were talking about where the prime minister was writing you, maybe it should have been the minister who would have been engaging in this kind of operation, but instead, it was everybody else except him. And here again, this whole scenario is unfolding, and we are hearing absolutely nothing from the Minister of Home Affairs about the state of affairs of the Guyana police force, the thing that he mans with all of these allegations and confusion and SWAT and nothing. Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Well, in terms of the letter that the Prime Minister wrote, that is in keeping with the Constitution. Constitution
Okay.
says to initiate a process to remove a member of the any police service commission, the Prime Minister is the one who has to write the letter. But as you rightly pointed out, they are we hearing when we're not hearing anything from the minister. Whenever he speaks, he puts his foot in his mouth. He tells people that if you have an illegal firearm, put it in a bag and throw it in the police compound. He berated the fire people in Parade Street when they had that fire there, tell them that they must put the hose at the source of the fire. He's speaking to the senior people. Put the hose at the source of the fire. He goes to the police officers' mess and tell them they must wear bling, gold and all this.
He did that.
And then let me tell you this. Outside this Brutus thing, let's go to the issue of them wanting to appoint or to confirm the appointment of Hickins.
Of Hickins.
Right? There, Teixeira wrote to say, and I'll read just a little part, in the letter they exchanged, because what happened, they wrote to the opposition leader saying that, look, they want to make these appointments. The name right. The opposition leader responded to say that he's not in favor of the appointment of Hickins, and he lists the reasons.
And he basically asked for an investigation.
Right. And Gail Teixeira wrote back. And here what she says in the last paragraph, y'all bear with me, that's the last paragraph. She said, I am to inform you, that's writing to Mr. Norton, I am to inform you that in the circumstances, having considered your contentions, and upon weighing same against the accomplishments of the Guyana Police Force under the superintendence of Mr. Hickins, including the significant decrease in serious crimes, improved public confidence in the force, the overall enhanced performance of the force, and in particular, the performance of Mr. Hickins, His Excellency has concluded that it is in the public interest and in the interest of national security that Mr. Hickins be appointed Commissioner of Police. This letter is dated, I think, the 2nd of October this year. And I asked the question, where does she live? Where does she live? You had in Guyana in recent times what they claim the biggest land cocaine being uncovered. 4,400 kilograms of cocaine in Region 1, Massachusetts area. The police, including the commissioner, they were kept in the blind. This is an operation according to what is released by the DEA, that is Drug Enforcement Agency. You have the anti-narcotic people, KANU, involved. And you have the GDF Special Forces involved.
But not the police.
Police. And you're telling me that is not an indictment against the police force and the man who sits there at the end. And more than that, let me tell you more. Even when it was uncovered and they decided to carry media personnel from Georgetown into the area to where this cocaine was discovered, not a single police they didn't take, even after the fact that did not take any police in there. And you're telling me I can't Gail Teixeira confidence?
That is very telling. I believe at this stage, because I promised you that we would have 1 hour, because I know there are other things that you have to do, and we basically have 2 minutes remaining. I am going to ask you now, because we've just dealt with one issue this morning. There's so many other things happening. There are all these kidnappings, and I see a new development. Somebody, one of their side purses being wanted bulletin being issued for him. So we have a lot of other things that we need to talk about with the police force. So I'm going to ask you now, when can we have a part two? Will
Yes.
you be willing to come Friday, and let's make this part two on the other issues as well? Because we haven't even scratched the one that you just brought up with the drugs, and
Right.
why the police was left out.
Yeah. Part two is assured that we're gonna arrange a date and time, and I'm promising now that perhaps part two, even part three. So I am available.
Very well.
We're gonna be at a convenient time. And what we did not mention here this morning, the development yesterday, where we did have alluded to it. Yeah, you did mention it. The listeners have to know that yesterday, Brutus decided to discontinue the constitutional motion that he filed against the people. People are speculating, why would he do that? And well, he did that. Let me look at the sequence of events. He did that after the SWAT went to his residence in the police compound, mind you, in the police compound. 2 statements or 2 press conferences from the vice president, 30 charges being read, and perhaps is a part of the intimidation tactics. They play chicken, and apparently he lose out, at least on that aspect of it. On that aspect of it.
I believe it's I'm giving you something that we can see what's gonna happen now. You know, the kind of bargaining chip, because I mean I say the VP was making a brave bluff when he said, talk what you know about we. Right? Go ahead and speak. But you know, there is so much more to unpack with the Guyana police force. And it is an indictment to know that there are so many issues with the Guyana police force. And this government that claims all kinds of things and want to have all those persons, you know, the sequence of things you explained, you put in charges on people simply because you don't want them to be promoted. And that's what I will call it, based on the sequence of things. It is something that we must continue to interrogate. It is something that we must continue to expose the government with. And I must say to you, you are doing an awesome job keeping the fire on the government, particularly with these issues every single time you hit social media. I must compliment you on that. And that is what we need to be doing, because the PPP cannot be allowed to get away with the things that they did pre-2015 any longer. We are in a new era, and we cannot as a people accept this country going back to thousands of Guyanese going missing. We're seeing the increase in the kidnappings, the robberies, and all these things happening. We have to keep them in check, because our children cannot grow up in that environment where we know we had a self-imposed curfew. The government didn't have to give us one. Soon as the place get dark, your parents want to know, where are you? Because it's not safe outside. So I want to thank you. I will permit you to, if there is any last thing you want to say before we close today's program, but I want the viewers to be assured that we will pick up this conversation again and get into the other stuff.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I want to close by saying, there's clearly a crisis in the leadership of the Ghana Police Force. I think even the government now is coming around to accepting that. It's a leadership crisis. And I want to sympathize with all the junior ranks. Many of them are dedicated, loyal, professional ranks. And when this type of reports are made, this type of stigma, people paying the entire police force. They're paying the entire police force, which is so unfair to those junior ranks. I want to tell them, notwithstanding all of this happening, that they should continue to operate in a professional manner.
No.
Professional manner, because this requires the professional conduct of every single rank from constable right up to try to turn this thing around. It also requires a drastic overall. I have said before, we need to have overall, we need to have a reform of the force. I have made it clear that the police force cannot be reformed with certain senior persons in the position. They have to part company with those persons if you have to get a reform. And they don't want to do that. I have the strong belief that the government does not want a professional police force, because if you have a professional police force, then you can't give them order to arrest people and to do this and to do that, unlawful and unconstitutional orders. So again, I say ranks, hold your head up high. I would hope you mentioned the Minister of Home Affairs. Now this is a time where people have to reach out to these ranks and to talk to them. Talk to them. They have to take action to remove those ones who are causing all the problems in the force. The senior ones I'm referring to. And try to talk to the junior people so they can come to an understanding that you're looking out for them. Giving them any money might be a thing, but that is not going to work. You need something more than that. You need more than that. You need the people. You can imagine how demoralized those ranks are. Every day
Yeah.
you put in the paper to see something wrong with the police. A senior man, Brutus, the de facto second in command in the force, 240 criminal charges. The more
Unheard of.
there in the commissioner's chair, Ikin, writing a statement that no sensible constable would write, to say that he get this policy and that he collect $8.5 million. The vice president says reprehensible, and they are not doing anything a bit. A matter of fact, as we know, as I've just read from the Sheriff, they are trying to conform him unconstitutionally. God help the guy in the police force.
Thank you so much, Mr. Slowe, for taking us through the pace. And I know persons viewing really got a better understanding of what has been transpiring with that, giving us the background. And I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation with you. And once again, I want to tell my viewers, continue to do your duty to hold this government accountable in every form possible. And when that time comes, we do the right thing to ensure that this country gets a government who will treat the people with respect, who will cause dignity to come to the Guyana Police Force again, and all the institutions that are falling apart currently, we will do the right thing. I want to thank you once again for joining this special edition of Facing the Nation. See you soon. Keep posted. And I did not get the flyer up. I forgot to put a flyer up. But tomorrow, the People's National Congress Reform will be holding a big bingo game. There is practically $5 million up for grabs tomorrow right here at Congress Place. There are tickets on sale if you want them today, or you come tomorrow, you get your tickets, and let's enjoy this. And as well, you know how it goes. You win money in bingo, you're going home nice. So come out tomorrow, the 27th of October, Sunday, from 2 p.m. Bingo game will be in session at Congress Place. Don't miss it. Thank you.